Good morning, it is Mike from the Run Testers. It is just after 7 a.m. I am off into central London to do the cancer research winter run 10k, which the guys at Hoka have kindly sorted a space out for me. They have also done the same for Tom, who unfortunately has got a bit of a trek to get there, so that's why I'm going to be doing this intro bit on my own. And obviously we're going to have some stuff to test, the main thing being the new Hoka Clifton 9, which actually technically it's not launching for a few more weeks, but we've been allowed to talk about it in this video. So kind of key things in terms of differences from the Hoka Clifton 8, I think it's around the same price. It is lighter. I've done a few runs in it already. It's definitely a lighter shoe. There is a new upper, so it's knitted instead of the mesh kind on the Clifton 8. There's a change in terms of the midsole as well, still EVA based, but definitely even just from the feel of it you can tell that there's some difference there in terms of what Hoka's done there. And generally, you know, I think it's about giving that kind of familiar Clifton feeling, but in a kind of improved experience overall, a kind of cushion daily trainer still that you'd use the same types of runs. And in terms of expectations today, obviously it's not really a race shoe, but actually I'm in a position where I've got a little bit of a niggle, so I'm not going to be going all out today. Kind of haven't done a lot of speed stuff, so I've had to slow things down a little bit, so probably the ideal shoe to do that. In terms of other kits, I have got the Open Rock Pro open ear headphones, which I think ideal to test in a kind of a race environment when you still want to hear a bit of the atmosphere but also hear your own music. So the big thing about these is these are, say, open ear design, a bit like shocks, but they're not bone conduction. They drop a couple of speakers inside your ears. And the promise is kind of deeper, richer bass that you wouldn't really associate with open ear headphones. It's got really solid battery life. It's a different kind of ear hook design that you don't see in a lot of open ear kind of earbuds or true wireless earbuds, so interested to see how those perform. Elsewhere I've got the next gen Stride on at the moment, which I'm just collecting data with. I'll track the race accuracy or distance tracking accuracy with that. I'll have the Apple Watch Ultra as well. I'm kind of looking a little bit closer at how the running dynamics kind of compare with the Strides as well. I have a Garmin HRM Pro plus chest strap, and I have my Garmin Epix 2 on as well. So yeah, that's all the kit I'll be testing. As I said, Tom will be in the Clifton 9. We'll catch up with him later in the video once he manages to make it into London, and yeah, we'll let you know how we got on. So yeah. We are done. I'm here. Look, he's made it. Tom did make it.
Finally, that was not a fun morning.
We have well and truly finished the cancer research winter run 10k. First of all, Tom, you had a bit of a nightmare getting here. How did you get on?
My trains were cancelled, so I ended up having to get a 3.5 hour coach from Brighton to Victoria, and then had to run from Victoria to the start line. So I essentially ran from Victoria and then just started the race with my backpack on, with all my clothes and stuff in. So it wasn't an ideal PB race, but I wasn't really aiming for that anyway.
Yeah, and then obviously, as I mentioned earlier, we're both running in the Hoka Clifton 9, which isn't out just yet, but we are allowed to talk about it. And yeah, I've run a bit in it already, but today was kind of racing it, although I wouldn't say it was a particularly strong racing shoe. But Tom, how did you get on in it?
Yeah, so I went into that race I just sit thinking I was just going to enjoy it and just maintain the pace. I was actually going to try and do marathon pace, but couldn't maintain marathon pace. It's definitely not. Clifton 9 is definitely not a shoe designed for running fast, but we know that anyway. I don't think anyone's buying it to run fast in. But what I would say is that I've tried a few of the last Cliftons, and I've never really been that positive about them because I think they're quite specific to a certain type of runner. They've always had this fairly big midsole, but it's been quite firm in comparison to a lot of other running shoes. So I think this is a big improvement on the Clifton 8. They've done something to the midsole foam. It feels nice and soft, but it isn't too far away from those Cliftons, so that people might go, "I don't like this shoe. It's a different shoe." So I think it's a good improvement, and I think it's a nice, easy day shoe as well.
Yeah, I think I would probably say the same thing. I think it's quite clearly you can establish it is not a shoe for racing, and I don't think a shoe either of us would be racing in general. But in terms of the pace that I was running, I was kind of running around 45 today. I was kind of taking it easy. I think it was ideal for that. I run in the Clifton 8. I think things similar like to what Tom said. I found it a bit firm, and I didn't find I wanted to run a great deal in it. But I've done a couple of runs in it now. Obviously, run today as well. I definitely like the upper. I feel the upper is a lot nicer. It's definitely more accommodating. Whether that's the best kind of upper for racing, I don't know, particularly kind of short distance, but I think in terms of kind of coasting miles that you're probably going to do in this shoe, it's ideal. And you can see that midsole, though it's still that EVA based kind of midsole. It feels different. It feels softer. And I think in terms of the kind of runs you would want to do in this, it felt great. I felt, this course is very twisty, and I found you could take corners quite nice in it, even though I wasn't running particularly hard, but I felt particularly kind of stable and very controlled in this shoe in the pace that I was running, and it definitely feels like Tom said. I think that I think Hoka, what they've done this shoe is they've made changes, but it hasn't strayed too far away from what we got on the Clifton 8 in terms of what it's designed for, where it's going to kind of excel, and the level and the types of runs that you're going to use it for. So I kind of liked it. I wouldn't use it particularly for races on a 10k race like this.
Definitely not.
But in terms of the pace that I was running today, it was absolutely fine, and I definitely feel like it's a step up on the Clifton 8.
Yes, quite looking forward to I'm not something I always say about the Clifton range. I'm actually quite looking forward to testing it and doing some versus against shoes like the New Balance 1080 V12, maybe things like the Glycerin range, Ghost, things like that.
Yeah.
So I think we'll be doing quite a few of those with the Clifton over the next few weeks.
Cool, and just a note on kind of some of the other kit that I was testing the Open Rock Pro open ear headphones, which essentially this is a good scenario to kind of test them because it'll be a bit like bone conduction headphones, and giving that open ear the awareness of your surroundings, so you can still hear people around you, but you also, the idea is that you're getting that kind of fuller, deeper, bassier sound that you don't typically get from open ear headphones like Shocks and the kind of other bone conduction headphones. And from that point of view, they actually did pretty well. I think obviously what I found in my other runs with them before, if the environment is very loud, the technology is quite easily drowned out. But in an environment like here where it was a little bit quieter on the course, and you've got people around you, then the sound sounds pretty good, and you do get that kind of power that you don't necessarily associate with bone conduction headphones. But what I would say is that the design of these headphones, you notice they're on, and I don't think that's necessarily a good thing for sports headphones. You always know they're where they don't really kind of disappear in any kind of really nice way like you would do with a pair of Shocks, where they're very nice and lightweight. With these, they're kind of an ear hook design, and you notice that they're on, and I'm very aware that they're on. But the sound was good where the noise was, and the environment was moderately loud, but I think as soon as it was a little bit louder in parts of the course, that sound is kind of drowned out. You don't really get that kind of bigger, kind of fuller sounds from these open ear headphones. The other things that I was testing I've got the Stride on. I'm kind of really banking data with that. That's the next gen Stride. Interestingly, it kind of recorded me doing 8.5k in the race, which was very, very odd. I had the Apple Watch.
Not very useful.
Not very useful, which is not good. I had that paired up.
Would be very angry at this point.
I had that with the Garmin Epix 2. They were paired together, and then I had the Apple Watch Ultra, which was a little bit more accurate in the front. Still, I think maybe the course felt a little bit long, maybe a touch, but ultimately 8.5k, I mean, that's well off of obviously a 10k distance. So yeah, plenty more tested to do the Stride, but I mean, that is not a good example of a run and the kind of data that I've kind of collected overall.
I think the course might be long because of how it's set out. So I was waving in and out all the way, going quite wide on some roads, jumping on pavements to get past people. So I think it is a course that lends itself to being long anyway, even if the actual blue line that goes down the middle isn't, because of the way it's set up. But there we go. So,
cool.
It's not a PB race.
And of course, we should talk a little bit about the race. Tom, how did you find it in general, in terms of the course, in terms of support, those kind of things?
So I have done the winter run before. I completely forgot. It's been a few years since I've done it. The winter run is a race designed for beginners, basically. It is very much, it's quite a relaxed feel. It's basically, if you're a beginner or you're building up to a race, I think it's a good one to do because it gives you the feel of a large scale event. But it's very relaxed, like people just joining the race at different paces and stuff like that. There's no real pressure to do anything. If you do some of the bigger races, bigger 10Ks, that like the A6, London 10K, that can be a little bit more intense. So I think it's a very nice, relaxed, fun environment. I don't think many people are there to race really hard, and there's a lot of beginners there doing it. It's quite expensive. I still think it's a very expensive race for what it is. I would probably say maybe do a more local event. If you're a beginner, maybe do a more local event first, where you're probably paying £15 to £20 just to get the feel of the race, and then maybe use this as your next one when you want to see what the big scale event is like, and you're working up to a bigger half marathon. So I think that's what it's for. It's definitely not like a race where you want to go and get a PB. I started in a later wave because I got there quite late. And if you're any way back from the front row and you're trying to run fast, you can't, because it's just people at different paces going all the way, which is fine for what the race is. But definitely, if you're watching this thinking, I might try and get a PB in that race next year, probably not the best race to get a PB in. But yeah, I enjoyed it, and everyone on the course was very friendly and very nice. One thing that did annoy me, I always got to get something that annoys me. 3 times in the last kilometre, people were walking over the road, so there were people that was either side of the road, like marshals, letting people across. I had to stop 3 times to let people walk across the road. So I know it's quite busy at that point of the race. I know people are desperately trying to cross the road, but there were, like, if I was going for it, I would have been quite angry at that point, because I'd just have to stop in front of these people. But it could have been quite dangerous as well. So I should flag that one up, because that's the first time I've seen it, actually.
I would just probably add to that. I think it's a race in central London. There's a lot of twists and turns, kind of what a lot of these races are, like the A6 10K, the kind of London landmarks. They all kind of have to follow a similar kind of route, and be prepared for that. You're going to do a lot of twisting and turning. I think just be mindful of the wave situation, as Tom said. But it's a nice one to do. I think if you are looking for a race that you just kind of ease yourself into kind of getting kind of that race kind of feeling again, then it's good for that. It's a good amount of runners, but I think if you're really going after a time or really wanting to be in that kind of race mentality, then there's probably other races to look for that you can do in London. Offers a similar kind of route and course. And if you're booking a place in this race, be very honest about your time so that you get put in the right wave. There was one point where I think there was a row of people walking in front of me, and I don't know how they got there because I was in a wave that was like, I don't know, it was like a 55-minute wave or something like that. So be honest about your wave times. Okay, well, there you go. I mean, that is our take on the Counter Research Winter Run 10K, our kind of first kind of proper run or kind of race environment testing of the Hoka Clifton 9. We'll have a full review. Nick will be in that now, some of the other guys, so we'll have a full review in that soon. Lots of versus action, I'm sure, as well. Big thanks to Hoka for inviting us to do the race. Thanks very much, and for letting us use these shoes and talk about the shoes. Test out these sample of these shoes. And more to come. I'll be doing a lot on them. Cushion shoes. This is my area. This is your domain. A cushion shoe consultant. So I'll be doing a lot of videos on these coming up. Cool. As always, like and subscribe. Hit that little bell to find out about latest videos. And we'll see you for next Run Testers video. See you later. See ya.